The point being that since our banishment from Eden, it is our very nature to desire a better country, as it says in Hebrews 11:16. To have a nation and a place to call our own, in which we can feel at home in this world, so that we will no longer be nomads, wandering about the earth from place to place, but that we might dwell in the land, as it says in Psalm 37, and feed upon God's and indeed our ancestors' faithfulness. This is why, by the way, the feeling of homecoming is so powerful to us. Perhaps the time I felt it in the most significant way was over about a period of 6 years. I spent a lot of time in Zimbabwe, which is in Africa, about halfway around the world. It would take about 24 hours of flying time to get there. And so I would stay there for an extended period of time, and I remember towards the end of the trip, I would long to come home, especially when I would become ill, which seemed to be every trip, or at least the last 5 or 6. And even landing back in the U.S. was a homecoming of sorts, and then I would get back to Texas, but nothing was like walking in the front door of my own home. Even the smell of my house set my heart at ease. We all know the cliche expression of sleeping in your own bed, the feeling that we have when we think about that. That feeling, that represents what Scripture calls consolation. It's a feeling of being at home. And so that's just a foretaste of it. I can't imagine. I mean, the trips I would take, it was slightly dangerous, and I would be gone for a long time. But I can't imagine someone like men who go off to war, where they're gone fighting for a year or two, risking their lives. That feeling of homecoming when they finally arrive home. The great German poet Holderlin has a great poem. It's called Homecoming, that really captures that experience. He describes his return to Swabia, Switzerland after a long absence, and he uses mythical language to describe the scenery as he returns. And that's really the case, isn't it? Homecoming is a thing of myths. It's a longing that we have deep in our heart, a longing that's stronger than our longing for anything else. And so we labor collectively and generationally to achieve that goal. An effort to cultivate this world, to refine it, to make it into a proper place for dwelling, a piece of heaven on earth, we would say, a foretaste of the coming of God's kingdom in full, which means that our patriotic impulses and our pride of family and place are not fallen desires which reveal sinful prejudices. They are what Scripture refers to as natural affections, our natural desire for a homeland, for a place of our own. Meaning that there is a form of national and regional and familial pride which is perfect and holy and good, one that we should in fact foster, one that we should celebrate. It's like the Red Poppy Festival, right, that we have every year in Georgetown. We're the red poppy capital of the world. I'm not sure what that means exactly. It's just that we've sprinkled those wild flowers more than anyone else, but it doesn't matter, right? It's a local claim to fame. It makes Georgetown unique, and so we come together as a community to celebrate that, to celebrate our pride in our community, our pride in the place in which we live. And that's absolutely right. But it's a truth which we have turned our back upon in many ways in the modern world. We have left our country and our kindred and our God. We've abandoned or are in the process of abandoning our cultural inheritance. And we're doing so not for promises of a better homeland, but rather to wander the earth as nomads. It's a turning back to the east, a return to the wilderness that we've chosen, that's driven by a resentful longing to go back to the futility of Egypt. And in so doing, we have become homeless in the modern world. It's the experience of many. You're sort of a perpetual pilgrim or a cosmic vagabond. It's a feeling of being alienated from the commonwealth of Israel, as Paul describes it, having no hope and without God in the world. Perhaps the saddest words that are written in Scripture. Meaning that in our hyper-individualistic modern world, we've lost all conception of this notion of commonwealth, as Paul describes it. What used to be called commonweal, which is the notion of the common good, a notion which has been superseded by the individual good. All of which is to say that we've lost a sense of people and place in modernity. We no longer see the value in dwelling in the land, and we've chosen instead to wander in the wilderness. And so modern man can sing with complete sincerity, whether he is a Christian or not, that this world is not his home. He's just a passing through. The problem is, to where is he going? He has no idea.